got a little secret surprise for you on this segment and show you the original maker of that song.
Before it lit up LA clubs or blasted from the trunk of a lowrider, the sound that shaped the early days of hip-hop actually started in the most unlikely of places. On the flip side of a Joe Cocker single. In 1972, English-born 2025 inductee Joe Cocker released Woman to Woman. A B-side tucked behind his cover of the Allman Brothers' Midnight Rider. It charted modestly, peaking at number 56 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart in 1973. But hidden in plain sight was a riff that started with a simple piano lick, then layered with authoritative brass and a contemporary beat that was practically begging to be looped. Then, boom, an orchestra of harmonies as call and response with Cocker's impressive vocal range. As hip-hop began taking shape in the early 70s, MCs like pioneer DJ Kool Herc built an entire culture around extending instrumental breaks, pulling from whatever records offered the right rhythm or the right energy to command a crowd to find their groove. Then came the Bronx-bred Ultramagnetic MCs. In 1987, producer Ced Gee took Joe Cocker's piano line and did something no one had done before. He chopped it. On their track Funky, the Cocker loop is jagged, off-kilter, unpredictable, still with that same blues and gospel rooted in the B-side. This was all made possible thanks to Ced Gee's early experimentation with the EMU System's game-changing sampling drum machine, the SP-1200. Music producers and beat techs were able to chop up and loop samples like never before. Cut on this new production godsend with its crunchy sampling and choppy transients, the track became a calling card for the group and the foundation for their first album, Critical Beatdown. Sputnik Music's Louis Arp said that Ced Gee's method of chopping up samples rather than simply looping them like most of his contemporaries did, essentially changed the way a producer approached the hip-hop beat. By 1989, EPMD picked up the same piano and horn loop for Knick Knack Paddywhack. A different beat, a different vibe, but the same source. Woman to Woman was becoming more than a sample. It was the infrastructure.
Hey, you're not supposed to be on there, man!
In the late 80s, creeping into the 90s, hip-hop was shifting, and MCs on the West Coast were making a name for themselves. Ice-T, Too Short, NWA. The West Coast was exploding with lyrical experimentation and the birth of a distinctive sound. G-Funk, defined by its slow, laid-back sound with melodic synthesizers and deep bass lines. At the center of this revolution stood Dr. Dre. A founding member of Compton's NWA, Dre was an early pioneer of West Coast beat creation and proprietor of G-Funk. Dre became known for his use of sample distortion and his ability to use heavy studio production to shape the sound of West Coast hip-hop.
What are you looking at?
That and marrying it all to lyrics that express themes of racial oppression, police brutality, and getting that cash money. When Tupac Shakur was released from prison and signed to Death Row Records in 1995, Dre helped craft his comeback anthem. Now, while California Love was originally meant to be a solo track for Dr. Dre, Death Row Records head Suge Knight convinced him to let Tupac take over the second verse as his homecoming release. To build it, he reached back across decades and across the ocean, straight to, you guessed it, Joe Cocker's 1972 B-side. The opening moments of California Love are unmistakable. That bright syncopated piano, Cocker's piano, reimagined with triumphant horns, thick drums, sun-baked synthesizers, and Roger Troutman's talk box strut.
We are out here at the California Love video.
I just happened to be in the studio one day, and just came about then. All of it happened in one night. Recorded them on the song, we mixed it, now we're out here. This was about maybe a week ago.
Tupac reportedly wrote his verse in 15 minutes with his electric first line. While Pac is known for these bombastic opening lines, there's something about it being backed by Cocker's iconic piano lick that makes it so defiant. The record hit #1, dominated radio, and reintroduced Tupac to the world as the force in hip-hop to be reckoned with. The track became a West Coast anthem, now one of the most iconic examples of G-Funk and that West Coast hip-hop swagger. A West Coast classic built on a British rock riff. Now, if you listen closely, the lineage is clear. The same bounce that fueled Ultramagnetic MCs in the Bronx, the same groove that EPMD stretched across Long Island, now blasting down Crenshaw in a lowrider. Woman to Woman didn't stop there. Oxnard's Quasimodo flipped it in 2000 with Astro Black. Mano revisited it, sampling both Cocker and Tupac's version with We Keep Rockin'. It became a loop that refuses to die, yet always ready to be reimagined. Because sampling isn't just sound, it's architecture, it's lineage, a conversation across time. From a forgotten B-side in 1972 to the Bronx chopped up underground experiments to a #1 West Coast anthem, Joe Cocker's Woman to Woman became the backbone for some of hip-hop's most influential music. A reminder that great sounds travel, great grooves survive, and in hip-hop, all it takes is one loop to move an entire generation.
I hope everybody like it. Please like it, because I'm not dressing up like this no more.
Subscribe here for more Sonic Connections.